Welcome.
Welcome.
It's another Chich and Muzz review, and today we are reviewing Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings.
In the recent Marvel installment, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings follows a young martial arts master who spent the last 6 years running from his father, the leader of a crime syndicate who has carved his position with the power of the Ten Rings. When he's dragged back into the hands of the organization, Shang-Chi must finally battle the demons of his past.
Shang-Chi is directed by Destin.
Every time.
Shang-Chi was directed by Destin Daniel Cretton.
Cretin.
Another Marvel installment. You'd think we'd be getting sick of it by now, but actually, they've just smashed it again. They've smashed it again. I can't lie.
Smashed it. Yeah, it was sick. They've changed up the vibe of it.
The fight scenes were insane. I haven't seen anything as good as it since Winter Soldier.
It felt like an old 80s, 90s film like Jackie Chan. There's one fight scene where they're on like construction site. It's literally a carbon copy of Rush Hour 2 or 3.
The music was great. The characters were good. The writing was good. The fighting was great. And for me, actually, Tony Leung's character was the best character in the film. A villain that you could actually understand and appreciate why he's doing the things he's doing.
At the very start, we're not massively sure who's the main villain of this piece. And obviously, like normally Marvel films, they have a classic, like there's good guys and then a bad guy comes along and messes the whole thing up, and then there's a big resolve at the end. This film takes more of a... Wow. I mean, where do we start? It takes loads of ups and downs. It takes loads of ups and downs for this film. The thing that I loved about the film as well, there's a Ben Kingsley cameo, and he's one of the best characters in the film.
What a great cameo he was.
Cameo.
Yeah,
he didn't have a camera with him.
What did you think of Shang-Chi, the main character?
Yeah. Shang-Chi was fine. I mean...
He was good enough.
Yeah.
I liked him.
He was also quite an epic character as well.
He's the centerpiece of all these incredible fight scenes. That's why he's so cool.
The pacing was really good as well. Like, there was never really a dull moment.
There were a lot of strong points in this film, like we've said. The music, the choreography of the fight scenes, the pacing of the film was great. And the writing as well was good. There were some drawbacks for me, and I do actually think this film is slightly overhyped. Everyone's going on about how like they've really smashed it, and they've done really well, but there is a couple issues.
I disagree. There are drawbacks, but they smashed it. You're more of a Marvel fan than I am. Yeah, I would rather watch this one than watching Black Panther again, than watching Winter Soldier. It's up there with the origin stories.
The origin,
definitely.
For origin stories, I would place it above Doctor Strange. I'd probably place it on the same level as Black Panther, actually. What were the negatives of this film?
Okay, Katie.
She's the comedic presence in the film to break up the serious tones of the film. And wasn't that funny. Granted, the writing for her character wasn't that great either, but...
And maybe if it's more for an American audience, maybe they find that funny. But I did not.
There was a little bit too much exposition at the beginning. It was a bit obvious. Otherwise, I don't want to be too negative about this film because I actually think it's very strong overall. And you should watch it. Even if you think you're getting tired of watching Marvel up to this point, this offers something a little bit different.
Part and the ending of this film that made it go from the best Marvel films that I've ever seen. Then something happens in it. It shoots it down, if you pardon the pun.
Itself. Rating time.
Yeah, I'll give this a solid 8. The action scenes kind of trumped all the little things I had wrong with the film.
My rating is a 7.6. I think it was a very good film with great fight scenes and generally good characters as well, good writing. But I think it fell for me a little bit in the first act. The jokes didn't land, a lot of exposition. It wasn't all that it's hyped up to be, but it's definitely worth watching. It's very entertaining.
So we put it at 7.8.
7.8. Okay, so that's the end of the non-spoiler discussion. We're going to get into the spoiler discussion now. So, that moment at the end of the film where Katie shoots the arrow at the dragon's throat. Why was that such a disappointment for you?
Is the Pope Catholic? Why do you think? Eh? She was literally did nothing. She could drive a bit. She could do some drifts. Nice, right? She goes to this mystical planet. She gets given a bow, and says, "Shoot a target. If you don't," I liked this line though. "If you don't aim, you will never hit." Or something like that. Was that it? If you
don't aim at something, you will hit nothing.
You will hit nothing. That was a cool line. But so she was given a bow and arrow. Has 5 minutes worth of target practice. 5 minutes, maybe 10.
That day.
She goes out. Her main mentor just runs out and goes, aim at something, and you'll be fine. He then dies. Straight like that. She's like, oh my god,
yeah,
brilliant.
Now it's on her.
She's now got this bow and arrow. I was like, oh, no way.
She was the true hero of this film, which is the problem. She became the true hero of this film.
She was like the character in.
There's a girl in the second Star Wars film who sacrifices herself for what John Boyega.
It's the same thing. She was like a no bid character who
Do you know
does
what?
Something spontaneous.
If she'd saved Ben Kingsley's character and had her own moment, if she had her own moment of glory, like a minor one, it would have been fine. The problem was that in the pinnacle of tension in the film, where Shang-Chi has to decide whether to sacrifice her sister to save the dragon, and he's like, "I'm never leaving you behind again." I was expecting him to do some nutty stuff.
Yeah, I thought he was going to drop her,
the problem
do some
was,
flips, then catch her and kill it. I was like,
The way it was set up was you were thinking Shang-Chi is going to pull off a madness. And what ends up happening is the unfunny character steals the show.
The unfunny, annoying, cringy character is what saves them all.
Yeah,
it's so annoying because
That's why I gave it 7.6 in my head.
Fair. As soon as she was given the bow, I was like, I know it. I knew it. I knew you're gonna do something that's important with that bow. I know it, and I was proved right. And you heard my reaction in the thing. I went,
it's like
it's predictable.
It wasn't as bad as this, but it reminds me of the time in Thor. That film was a great film, but it just got almost ruined by Natalie Portman's character when like Thor like suits up against like the world end or whatever its name is, and you can the angle goes like this, goes to Natalie Portman's face, and it goes like diagonally towards her, and she goes, "Oh my god." You see what I mean?
That's awful.
I've just shown Tom the clip. It damn near ruins the film.
That is it
so
does.
close to ruining the film. That.
Oh my god.
In fairness, it wasn't as bad as that, but
I was so invested. I was literally edge of my seat. I was like, oh my god, he's gonna pull off some insane stuff to get out of the situation. And then I just see her lining up. I'm like, no way. Anyway, that was silly.
What else do we need to say?
One thing that I really loved about the film was just the arc of the dad, because the dad was what we were saying before, but we couldn't really talk about it too much because it was a bit of a spoiler. But how it went from at first we think that he's the main villain because he's so power driven and wants to just destroy the world and have loads of power, and then you were saying about the running theme of the yin and yang.
So obviously Shang-Chi's father meets Shang-Chi's mother, and Shang-Chi's father and mother do some loving, but
it's most certainly do.
Okay,
some sweet loving.
No, Shang-Chi is a certain character. He's evil, for lack of a better word, after living for 1,000 years, conquering the whole world, until he meets Shang-Chi's mother, who is the lightness to his darkness. And something changes within him. He gives up the 10 rings. He gives up the conquest for power and eternal life to live, to attain something better, his family, something to live for. And
purpose.
It was almost, they talk about, there was a theme of yin and yang through the film. And like, he is the darkness that finds the light within him after meeting Shang-Chi's mother. I thought that was
lovely.
Wonderfully woven.
And we see that because when the mum and the dad are fighting at the start and they're like doing some like love dance, which actually I found a bit cringe. But
really?
It doesn't matter.
I thought it was cool.
It was cool. But you just see this guy, he's an imposter. He's going to kill you.
Yeah.
And they're doing all this Do you know what I mean?
Well, no,
okay.
I think the flirtation of it was really, really
It was
cool
done. It was done well.
because it was the first time he'd met someone who
Could match him.
could beat him
Yeah.
easily, and that's why he was like enveloped.
Yeah,
by her.
which is also true with your yin and yang, with the light and the darkness, because I think, and that makes sense, because when he says to his son, "I'll give you the rings when I think that you're ready to have them," basically, and at the very, very end,
he says that after she's died though.
yeah, but then at the very, very end, when they're both fighting, and they have that same kind of moment where he looks at him, they both look at one another, and then I think the dad thinks, "I can see a lot of the lightness, the goodness in your mum within you," and at the that's why it was the similar dance kind of fight scene, and then at the very end when he's dying and he gives the rings away, then it's like maybe that's when he
takes
realizes
them on, and they turn from dark purple to bright yellow.
Yeah, so cool.
It was good.
The ending was amazing. It was
great.
It was great.
It's just that one scene. But I do want to mention this. Like, even if they hit the mark on every single thing, overall, it wouldn't have been like the best ever Marvel film. Like, it was close to reaching its potential. It could have went a bit further, but it practically reaches potential, which was pretty high.
It depends.
I think it is a bit overhyped. It's like, oh, it's this tame film. Like I said, the development of
We didn't talk about his sister at all, by the way.
yeah, I guess that's important to say. The fact that we haven't even mentioned her sister throughout this review kind of points to what her pointlessness.
But isn't that the whole point of it, though?
How she's kind of pointless.
She was pointless to his dad. She was pointless to her dad. We don't know anything about her character, really. Maybe actually that's like a symbiotic thing of actually we are seeing her like the dad did.
It might have been better if they'd actually killed her off. If she,
I didn't want that to happen. I thought she was pretty cool.
If in I love that. Yeah, but it would have been brilliant though. If she'd actually kicked him in the face or something to be taken off, for him to then go save the thing.
That's when she's getting dragged by the dragon, and he's like holding her, binded by the rings. And if she saves her if she kills herself, she save him.
Assuming you've seen the film, probably should be if you're watching this.
Yeah, I mean, I thought she was really cool because she could take on him.
It was
and she could fight him and stuff.
Any closing remarks? Any closing
remarks? Brilliant fight scenes. Characters overall pretty good, besides Katie. Ending awful. No, not awful. Pretty good. One part made it not so good. With the arrow.
Yeah.
Would I recommend it? Yes, sir.
Definitely.
Marvel or no Marvel.
Even if you're not a Marvel fan, you should probably watch this film.
Just close your eyes when she's drawbacking the